Okay, I've got 5 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Call the roll, please.
Ansley. Bowers. Here. Caskey.
Here.
Claybo. Here. Deshay. Here. Monroe. Here. You have 6 present and 1 absent, and you have quorum.
Thank you. I've lost my little minutes. Here we go. So if you'll listen, I'll read the emergency evacuation procedures. In the event of an emergency evacuation, an alarm may sound. Everyone should exit the building by way of the nearest stairwell in a safe and effective manner. If the nearest stairwell is blocked by smoke, use the other stairwell. Do not use the elevator. Once you have reached the main floor, follow the exit signs to exit the building and quickly proceed away from the building. Please be mindful of others evacuating and of emergency vehicles. In the event of severe weather in the area, the chairperson of the committee will determine if there is a need to evacuate to the designated severe weather shelter. If chairperson recommends evacuation to the designated severe weather shelter area, everyone should go to the 2nd floor by using the interior staircase. Severe weather shelter area is marked by signage. Please do not leave the shelter until the severe weather has left the area. Also, please be mindful of others evacuating as well. Okay, Chair will entertain a motion to set the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we set the agenda and add to an agenda item discussion and possible action on grants concerning recycling.
Second. Okay, motion by Commissioner Monroe, second by Commissioner Bowers. I'm going to place that number I'll make that number 4 and move number 4 next meeting to number 5. All in favor? Aye. We need to move to set the agenda. That sets the agenda, correct? Okay, Chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Is there any public input on items on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move to new business. First item on the agenda is Mr. I hope I get your name right, Wassenaar. If you'll come to the podium, sir. And you're with Virtuous Products?
Yes, sir.
Or thanks, sir.
I'm with Virtuous Products. I'm also newly the general manager at Spectra Recycling here in Maryville. Okay. And I'm here to talk. I've lived in East Tennessee, either Farragut area or Lenoir City since 2003, so I've been in the area for 12 years. The entire time I've been here, I've been involved in recycling material, and I've started 3 companies, all of which have been very actively involved in recycling, primarily recycling glass. And so recycling glass is very important. If you look at the picture on the left up there, that's Rock 10. And that's the problem they have with all of their glass, trying to figure out what to do with it. And the gentleman on the right there is depositing bottles at a local Kroger right off of Kingston Pike because he needs to, and he feels the need to recycle glass. When I'm at the Recycle Center over at Spectra, I no less than at least once each day, people ask me, where's the container for recycled glass? And I said, we don't have one right now. And so recycled glass is very important. And countertops can be made out of recycled glass, and I'll show you a little bit what I've done in the past. And just imagine countertops made from recycled glass, harvested right here in Blount County. And not only that, but manufactured in Blount County. The countertops manufactured in Blount County and then also installed in Metro Phoenix, or I'm sorry, I used to live in Phoenix, and Metro Knoxville. Now, I've been to every countertop retailer in Knoxville, and every one of them has a recycled glass countertop. But by and large, most of the recycled glass countertops that are offered by retailers in Knoxville have their recycled glass either outside of the state of Tennessee and mostly outside the United States of America. And so they're bringing recycled glass in from other countries, and yet they're saying this is recycled glass countertop material. And if you actually do your homework, you realize that they're not helping us out at all, okay? And so that's very, very important. And yet, if you get recycled glass, primarily from Blount County, the expense is so minuscule over against what everybody else is offering, and you're getting a better product, and you're paying less money for it. So that's very important. How much recycled glass is in each countertop? If you look at the picture on the left up there, that is an actual mold that you cast a recycled glass countertop in. And if you look, 80% of the volume of every mold has recycled glass in it. And at least 40% of the weight of a recycled glass slab comes from recycled glass. And so if you just imagine the amount of recycled glass that can be used in making a countertop, it is unbelievable to realize. Well, what do you do with recycled glass? Well, these are the countertops that are in my house. They're manufactured with recycled glass, and they also have full height splashes all the way up to the bottoms of the wall cabinets with recycled glass. And it is a very, very clean operation. And I have compared my price to everybody else's price, and I'm probably about 30% less because I get recycled glass in Cumberland County. Now, when I buy my recycled glass in Cumberland County, I pay 6 cents a pound for it. I pay 7 cents a pound for the blue. And I guess there's a new beer out now that's in blue bottles. And I'm a blue freak, and so I really like the blue, but for 6 or 7 cents a pound, it's very inexpensive. And especially that compares to raw material recycled glass that other national manufacturers are using in their recycled glass countertops. So therefore, I can come along and present a product that's very good quality for 30% less. And that is a very, very significant cost savings. Now, I've been involved in manufacturing my whole life. My dad used to be a cultured marble manufacturer, and I started being involved in manufacturing over 40 years ago. And I was the biggest countertop manufacturer in Chicago before I sold my business. And my claim to fame was that I beat everybody else up financially, cost-wise, and still made a lot of money. And the reason I was able to do that is you find the best raw material at the cheapest price. And that is the key to making recycled glass countertops. Well, we also make specialty tables. And if you look at these two tables, these tables are made almost exclusively with clear glass. And the advantage of using clear glass is that when the lights go off, they can turn into something very, very significant. And you can do some unbelievable things with clear glass and lights under the bottoms of the clear glass that you cannot see in any other countertop material in the entire world. So there's a lot of possibilities you can do with clear recycled glass. And clear recycled glass is more plentiful than any of the colored recycled glasses involved. Well, what are some of the uses? Well, if you come up to the front door of my house, and I live in Lenore City, you would walk down the sidewalk and you would walk past my flower garden, and it's all there with green recycled glass. And what we've done is we've taken a lot of the dirt out and all the other things, put down a weed barrier, and then we put nothing but recycled glass down, and it's the most beautiful thing in the world right after it rains, and then the sun comes out because it all sparkles. And it's the greatest thing in the world, and it looks beautiful among your among your flowers, plants, and other things like that. Well, what else can you do? Well, all of these countertops that are on this page were all manufactured locally, and they're all installed in Knoxville area. Whether they're bar tops, vanity tops, casual, we make fire tables. The key is that they're affordable. And when you recycle, see, usually when you recycle different products, that bumps up the price to actually process them. But with recycled glass, that gives you a very good raw material product at a lower price than virgin material, and that's very important. It's environmentally friendly. There's unlimited color spectrums you can do simply because you're using primarily recycled clear glass, and then along with that you can do some unique things there. So that's really important, and I am an advocate for recycled glass, and I just wish that there were ways that we can actually use recycled glass, especially in a local setting, that allows us to be able to present a very good product as well as keep the price very, very low. And that's the key. And that's my very short presentation. You're welcome.
Hey, Mark,
Yes.
does Cumberland County also use their glass product to stretch out their salt and to use on their roads when it's slick?
They use it in a couple of different settings, and one of the biggest uses they have is in their flower gardens.
For landscaping, yeah.
And then just decorative kinds of things like that. They do and have used it in the past, you know, for that particular purpose, but I don't know the extent to which they use it. There again, because glass has silica in it, it has a little bit of resin in it, you know, it's very coarse. If you actually picked up a handful of crushed glass, you would not cut yourself with it, of course. But it does have an agent in it that allows you to do some different kind of unique things with it.
And one other question, do you think, is it practical to look at maybe being able to, Blount County, to crush its glass and extend the landfill and not just fill it up? Is that even viable?
Yeah, I think it is. But part of the process there is being able to communicate to the residents of Blount County all the different things that can be used with recycled glass. There are some unbelievable, I have some unbelievable ideas that just regular consumers can use recycled glass in. And I think that would just be advantageous for them. See, I've got a lot of silicone molds, and I would even be willing to loan out the molds, give people the formula to make their own kind of a casual tabletop, or even tile for their flower beds or something, give them the info, and then also they can just use recycled glass. And it would keep the cost down, and it would just be, so there'd be a lot of things that you can do with it from that standpoint. But it's getting out to the public the advantages and all the different things that can be done with recycled glass.
And
That's the most important thing.
And then having a glass crusher that is going to give the product that you need and the expense of that, either repairing one or having a new one.
Now, I first became aware of Cumberland County because they bought their crusher out of New York. They paid $94,000 for it, and it's the cat's meow. I mean, it really is a very nice crusher.
And they're still saying that they're making money.
They're still, they're in the black in the use of their crusher.
I heard something like 2 years it took for them to recoup their investment.
But I think part of what they've done is everybody was on board in Cumberland County when it came to finding uses for their recycled crushed glass. And I think this was part because of the two big tile manufacturers that are in Cumberland County, and they have also brought this whole issue to the forefront in public attention and awareness. And so I think that helps too.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes.
Where are you currently manufacturing now?
Okay, what we've done is we've closed our manufacturing facility up in Morgan County. We were located probably about a mile away from Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. So if you had any relatives up there, you were visiting or something like that, we were really close by. We've closed that facility, and we're opening a facility here in Blount County.
So you're planning to open?
Oh, yeah.
Would you, would you be looking for a local glass market?
Well,
or is Cumberland
right
satisfying
now,
your needs?
Right now, we'll be opening a facility there on Spectra's location, on their property. And we're purchasing our glass from Cumberland County, you know.
So if we could get the glass to Spectra, that would be on site, perfect.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's that would keep everybody's costs down. And it would be a win-win situation for everyone.
Would you be willing to educate the public more about that? I mean, you were talking about,
yes, that's why I'm here this evening.
An active role in the public.
I sure would be, yeah.
Okay.
Because, not simply because it would be advantageous for me financially, but when you're there at the, I don't know if you go to the recycle center at Spectra, but every day when you're there and you have people asking you for where the dumpster is for the glass and you say we don't have one, you know that there's a need for that.
Right. Yeah.
And then when you get there early in the morning and there are bags of glass that people just set down on the alongside the dumpster because they have no place else to put them, you know that there's a need for it. And so from that standpoint, I think that's very important. So, yeah. I would be and that's why I'm here. I am very much an advocate for that.
So you would be willing to educate the community about what we can do with the glass, and there would be a local market need now.
Yes, very much so.
And you're right on Spectra's facility.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Okay, very good, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions at all?
I had one other thing. Last time when Steve was here, I had mentioned to him the tree in front of Spectra was so overgrown you couldn't see the sign. Well, I've just been out there recently and all the branches were trimmed, so anyone looking for the facility can now easily see the Spectra sign. So I appreciate that he was responsive to that.
Well, I did it, but I cut the branches down, but he's the one that said, you know, nobody can see our sign out there. So, yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have another follow-up question that you may or may not know. You said that they paid $94,000 for their Cumberland County for their crusher. Is it substantially higher than that now, or could you find a top-of-the-line machine for around $100,000?
You can buy one for much less.
Really?
Yeah.
And it'll be sufficient?
Yeah, yeah. So that is. You do your shopping, and I'm not one for buying anything new.
Okay.
You always
we can buy a recycled.
You always buy recycled stuff, and
okay.
you buy stuff that's used, and then you retrofit it for your particular specific use. Yeah.
Okay. So you think we could get in it for less than $100,000?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Much less.
Much less. Oh,
I
like to hear that.
Pardon me?
I like to hear that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because there again, my desire was to actually buy one, but I don't have the capital to do that. But I know they're out there, and I know they're very, very modestly priced if you do your homework. Okay?
Okay, cool.
Do you think that there is the potential for a partnership if the county could manage to come up with a crusher, that Spectra would be willing to manage the recycling and the separating and whatever needs to happen to make that?
Yeah, yes, I believe that would be very doable. Now, one thing I did, I don't know if I caused them to do this or not in Cumberland County. I called them, the general manager of their convenience center up there, a gentleman by the name of Tom Breeden. I said, I am interested in buying your product, but I'm not interested in buying all of the colors that are mixed together. I want all, and so what they did is they got all different bins for the different color glass. And that is very important too. And see, when you're able to actually segregate them out, and then you have uses for the different glass. Now, and I'm not here selling myself, but if you get on my website, sedonite.com, sedonite.com, you click on the tab, colors, and you'll see about 14 different colors. And many of the colors have only one color glass in them. And that's what people like. There's a couple colors I have where it's 4 different colors of glass all in one. But by and large, people like only one single color glass in a countertop, in a vanity, or in a pass-through top, or in an outside kitchen, or something like that. That's just what people like. So you actually market it in such a way that you're advertising segregated glass.
My concern, and I talked with Mr. Breeden a couple of years ago when this all started, and I understand that their county is so much smaller in population than Blount County, so I anticipate that their recycling product, the amount is a lot less than what Blount County would generate.
Right.
So considering that, would there be a market for the volume that Blount County would produce?
It all depends upon how effective you are in publicizing the availability of recycled glass. And then I would say yes. I would say yes at that point. Because to be frank, and I live in Loudoun County, and the people in Loudoun County are not nearly as aware of recycling as you are in Blount County. And that's just something that you develop over a period of time, a greater awareness and a willingness and a commitment to take time out of your day to drive by and to drop recycles off. And I think when you have that awareness throughout your county, it becomes an easier sell to be able to tell people that all of the advantages of what recycled glass can do, and then it becomes a process that can be effectively financed through just the use and the selling of the glass. Yeah. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, I do have a question. Okay. We are also looking at the feasibility of what our plans are for a recycling center for county residents, and I know that most county residents use the center over there, Robert C. Jackson. And we had talked about that when I was actually the director of Keep Blount Beautiful recently, and I received a lot of phone calls, and I worked a lot with Steve, and he had always told me that there's just not enough room at the location over there to sustain all of the recycling that we have for the county residents. And most county residents like the central location, where we've not been able to secure a central location since some of them have been moved away. Right. So my other question, and it also would concern glass, is would you feel like we would need to create another location for county residents for recycling in a central location due to the space that you have? Yeah.
Well, there again, Steve's been at this a lot longer than I have. And so I think if he gives you that answer, then there's a reason why he's giving you that answer. So I'm just kind of a new guy on board here with regards to wearing that particular hat. So he would be the person in the know on that.
Okay. I just wanted to see, since you were over there, if that was still the case with the volume and things like that. So, okay. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Yes, I have a couple of questions before you go.
Okay.
One thing, do you know the correct phone number for Spectra for Blount County citizens?
The current phone number for Spectra?
Yes.
970-0005.
That's
Now
865.
Pardon me?
865.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
What volume of glass do you use now currently?
Well, I think probably over the period of time that we've had a relationship, or my company's had a relationship with Cumberland County, I've bought the equivalent of 2 truckloads full of glass. And these are bulk bags that are probably about 1,000 pounds in each bulk bag, and the equivalent of about 52 bulk bags, 52,000 pounds over the past 3 years.
Okay.
So, and that's not marketing my product at all. So the potential is there to raise that level significantly.
And transportation, and did you have to go get the product? Did they
I
deliver?
went and got it. Yeah, I'd say that probably adds a couple cents a pound to it, the overall price. That bumps it up from 7 to 9 cents a pound. And then when you wash it, you know, if you just took the glass the way you get it or crush it, your countertop could end up smelling like beer. So what you have to do, or pickles, dill pickles, okay?
Mr. Bauer's countertop
Okay,
smells like.
so what you have to do is there's which it probably adds a penny, is you wash them, and when you wash them, what you do is you also very gently remove whatever label is on the glass by the washing process and the agitation of the washing process. So you're going from maybe 6 cents a pound to 9 cents a pound or 10 cents a pound.
Okay.
So that's very significantly less than what you would be paying for, let's say that you had a quartz-based product and you'd be paying 25 to 30 cents a pound for that. And you're paying, 9 to 10 cents a pound for it.
And just out of curiosity, I'm assuming that, and I know what they say about assuming something, but I'm assuming that it's a profitable enterprise. What you're doing is profitable.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's profitable for a business to crush glass and sell it, why isn't someone doing it?
Well, for 2 reasons. Number one, a lot of people don't know. I've probably, in this particular industry, I've probably used about 1,500 different formulas until I've come up with a formula ratio-wise and the type of resin or the type of cement binder to use. So it is very time-consuming, and it costs money to do that. And then, so that's one reason. And if you're not an expert at that kind of thing, and if you're not patient with that, then you will walk away from that process. Secondly, if people are wanting to sell you a slab of material, all you need to do is unload it off their truck and put it on your bridge saw, and you start cutting it into countertop material. You're much more willing to do that, even though you're going to spend anywhere from $8 to $15 more per square foot for that product, simply because it takes less time to process and actually fabricate a countertop for that product.
Right.
So from that standpoint, those are the 2 biggest reasons why a lot of people don't do it.
Okay. So you're more interested in the end product manufacturing, not and someone else provide the raw materials.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Since everybody's asked one, and I have, and I think I will.
Okay.
Obviously, you're an expert at this, but you were talking about the resin and the way you put the glass together and form it. Is there any possibility of that being toxic or leaching out, like if it's used like in a landscaping situation or on roads? Because I think people would be interested to know the answer to that question. I'm assuming that it'd be little if none.
Right. Yeah, there is none. If you were to have a cultured marble countertop in your home, that's not toxic.
Right.
If you were to have a solid surface countertop in your home, that is non-toxic. If you were to have a quartz-based countertop like silestone in your home, that is non-toxic. But I have to tell you that when you're manufacturing something, when you manufacture it, it takes 72 hours to totally, fully cure out. And so for the first 72 hours, you will smell the resin that's in the product. But after it cures out and after you process it, you don't smell it. And when you go to install it in somebody's home, you don't smell it. Yeah, you're welcome. This is the last question. You know, I got to go home and eat dinner.
Okay. And you probably already answered this, but will all of your manufacturing be done there at Spectra?
Yeah.
So you've
Yeah.
moved everything
Yeah.
to there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you'll be a Blount County
Yeah.
operation. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, sir, very much.
You're
We
welcome.
appreciate it.
You're welcome. Now I have to put this somewhere. I can't take it home with me. So I'll just leave it up here? Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, we'll pick it up. Thank you. Okay, where's my, you got the phone number? Why did I do that? I got it here in front of me. Okay, next on the agenda is reports from the members. I talked to Anderson County. They're still in the very embryonic stages of recycling. They're probably just a little ahead of us, so there wasn't a lot of information there that was usable. I talked to Director Britt at Blount County Schools about possibly using schools. They tried that at one time, and the results that they got was about the same that Maryville got from their site over here. They finally had to close the one at Fairview, I believe is what he said. They ended up having to put a fence around it because people were putting all kind of things. So it was another issue you run into with using schools is access to schools. Both high schools are closed during the daytime. The gates are locked. There are guards there. Having a lot of traffic coming in and out of schools is very problematic. I don't think the school board would approve that. I'm not sure that you could get away with that. There are statutes that govern access to schools, so you would have to investigate even if you could have that kind of traffic on a school in the first place. I don't recall the recycling at the schools. I do know. I'm going by what I was told, and I may have the schools wrong, but there was, and I can understand that. We know what happened with Maryville at their site. I just don't know that using the schools for recycling centers is feasible. I just don't know that it would be feasible. I talked to Brian Daniels at Blount Partnership. I know that they had done some things when the last committee met on this. He said they just can't find any business that's interested in locating in Blount County and doing recycling. It's just not profitable. It would require a lot more volume than what we produce. I didn't know that. That was pretty educational. He is looking for alternatives. He's going to look into it and get back with me and find out and let me know what he found out. He said probably something that was discussed at the last one is probably an easier road to travel would be to partner with the cities on some kind of recycling program to start with and build from there, and that may be something that we need to look at. Yes, sir.
Is it, from reading the minutes and going back over it, looks like that at some point in time there was almost an agreement with Maryville and Blount County. I'm still wondering, there's no point person in Blount County that can pull together the different communities. I mean, the county mayor, to me, seems like somebody who might be capable of that, but there's no mechanism to get input and to get Townsend and Friendsville and all these different communities pulling together in the same direction rather than Maryville and Alcoa kind of going their own way. Do you think it's possible to maybe get some sort of a, I don't know, not necessarily another committee, but just some communication?
A designee?
Pardon?
Like a designee, somebody?
Yes.
One of the things that that I discovered in these discussions was it did seem like there was some agreement. There's agreement. We're already in a partnership on the landfill already with the cities. There was some interest in that until it came time to fund it. And when it came time that Blount County was going to have to, the Blount County government was going to have to fund part of it, that seems to be where it stopped. So then that's kind of why we're here, I suppose. Any other comments?
Well, I know that
Members?
you had asked us at our last meeting for us each to come up with what we thought our plan would be for recycling and what our vision would be for our residents. And my vision would be, to partner, I would like, just personally, I know we would have to go through all different kinds of, I can't even think of the word, but bids and different things. But to me, it would be nice to be able to partner with a local recycler, which we are very, very, very fortunate that we do have one in our county. Most counties, like I'm sure you went with Anderson, doesn't have anyone, right, that has they don't have a local recycler there like we do. That's probably why we're so far ahead of other counties, because people have been recycling for a long time in our county. But I really think that what the residents are wanting are a special center, or if I was not able to meet with Greg McLean, like I had said when I got in here, just because I have not been able to, with his schedule and my schedule, to pin him down, but I will definitely set up a meeting with him and just ask him outright if the partnership is still available. I know that we had talked about possibly approving, when we talked about the county purchasing a baler, or a crusher of some sort to purchase and have at their centers. So we could partner together and not have to create a new center for residents. Because I know that residents do want some centrally located. I know that people want outlying centers as well, but the most used centers were the ones in the center of town where people are going back and forth to work and using those the most. They're out and about, they load it all up. We had one at East Broadway years ago, and then the other two that are still there. I know that those were highly used, and we have the outlying ones, but those were really used the most from what I understand from Spectra. So I will set up a meeting with him and talk about the possibility of that, but if that is not going to be a possibility with the city, then I think that this is just my personal opinion, just from talking with residents and dealing with it for a long time, a lot of the phone calls that I received, is we really probably need to look at a centrally located center for Blount County residents that we help put together, where whether part of it is Spectra helping us, how they have done in the past, or whether it is us purchasing dumpsters and then Spectra emptying those, and then having a glass option as well. And Spectra, from what I understand, it's only been a few months since I've been dealing with it all, but they do not have the space and it was 150 tons a month from Blount County residents. That's what their drop was at the time, and that was 2 years ago. I can imagine with the growth, it hasn't been a large amount of growth, but I can imagine with the growth that we've had and the more environmentally friendly people who were talking about it and wanting to do it, I imagine it would be more than that. And Spectra just does not have, the space for that, but they would be another option for residents to also use that option. So that would be my consensus, is trying to find a location, and I can't tell you what the cost that would be. I think we could try things that maybe wouldn't have cost as much, even though I think we could still keep it low. I used to do everything on a budget when I was at Keep Blount Beautiful. I truly tried to spend the least amount of money as possible because I had to. So I've lived my life that way. So I think we could try to work it out the way, but it is going to cost something. But it has to be something that's going to work long term for us to maybe, if it does end up making money, because some of these locations do end up making money. Like, for example, if you take appliances and someone pays for those appliances at that location, and different things like that, it can possibly make money if it's done the right way. It won't right away. But, there are things that can be done, especially if we work with the glass guy and all that. But I think initially it's going to cost something, but we need something that's going to work for long term. That would just be my opinion. Because we're all, because you asked us to bring us to our opinion what we thought that they would need.
What I was going to ask is, Grady, I know you're very cautious about that we can't solicit or make any promises of any business or relationships or anything. Can we find out what it would take? Both Spectra and Rock 10 seem to imply in their presentations that they would be willing to do some sort of a demonstration project to find out what the volume is, to see how it would work. Could we find out how we could go about doing that? If it's no cost for the first year and maybe get them to do a demonstration project, can we get guidance maybe from purchasing or something like that so we know what we can pursue and what we can't?
Yes, I will make some inquiries and find out about that.
Okay. Thank you, and I apologize. I have to go.
Thank you.
I want to say that sounds like we have a great opportunity there with Spectra, in that if we can get some glass to that, certainly they can't handle the volume. We've heard that. But if they're there, we need to get the glass to them. I mean, a few dumpsters there, and if we could look more into the grants. Part of the grant was talking about grant money for a business that would do recycling, or we could even talk about buying a crusher for the county. I mean, there was different levels to the grants. So I'm not trying to get out of order, but we were talking about vision and direction here. And so I definitely think if we've got private enterprise willing to do something, and I mean, that's a wonderful opportunity. We shouldn't let that is more of a long-term goal, and certainly what we should be looking at. But short-term here, I think we've got something that's moving into the county, and we should definitely make it happen. And if we might be able to pursue those grants to make it happen. So when we get to that item on the agenda, we can talk about that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, speaking of grants, we'll talk about grants.
Hi,
If you could just state your name.
my name is Mallory Leonard. I am the director of Keep Blount Beautiful.
I cut her off.
Last week I went to a meeting about the TDEC grants. It was a workshop, and I learned that although Blount County is ineligible for one of the grants, we are eligible for the Waste Reduction Grant Program. And so TDEC has set aside $1 million to give away in grants. The max request is $200,000, and Blount County would be required to match 50% of what we ask for. And it would cover equipment and facility construction. There is a list of recycling equipment that it will cover, and it will also pay for the establishment of a facility and expenses for plans, preparation, and consultant and construction services. The deadline is October 1st to apply, and the winners will be announced on January 1st. So the way I was looking at it was thinking if we wanted to set up a new site that would increase participation, because that is, this grant privileges, It's number one, the number one thing it privileges are applicants who employ developmentally disabled individuals, and the second is applicants that develop private and private-public partnerships, which sounds like something we'd be able to do. And they also want to be sure that it will have a lasting impact, but one of the objectives it wants to meet is increasing recycling access and participation by enhancing drop-off and curbside programs. And I think that's how we would best be able to apply for this, is by increasing participation.
Mallory, I'm sorry. Tell me what you said about employing.
Okay. So the priorities of this grant, the first one is applicants that employ developmentally disabled individuals as defined in TCA 33-1-101. And it would cover the purchase of balers, crushers, and containers. And if this is something that seems feasible and that you want to do, I would be willing to be the grant contact person.
Did you say drop-off services as well? So it means the person drops it off and then curbside government would pick it up or private enterprise would pick it up?
It specifies it can be used for either a drop-off location or to create a curbside
drop-off
program.
location. And that could be a public or private drop-off location?
Yes.
Okay, so you could drop it off at Spectra or drop it off at a Blount County facility? Or are you talking about it having to be dropped off at a county-run facility?
No, it doesn't. So it encourages public and private participation. So it doesn't. It can be picked. It can go to a private facility. It can go to a private business as long as the program is a joint effort of the
so
government.
you can drop it off anywhere. It doesn't have to just be a county-run facility.
No, it just has to be the facility that is funded and supported by this grant.
And the county can apply for up to 200,000.
Yes, and Blount County
And
has
then
to
you
match
would have to
50%.
match whatever you got.
It says 50%. Do you happen to know off the top of your head if that means we match what we ask for, or we match 50% of what we ask for?
I mean, it would be that they would have to, that the government would have to give $100,000. And my question was, I have a question. Does that include in kind, or is it a dollar match?
I believe it's not in kind. I believe it has to be cash. Yeah.
Cash. Okay. So this would be a grant where Keep Blount Beautiful would receive the grant. Is that correct? Or would the government receive the grant? Like if you entered the grant, would Keep Blount Beautiful receive it, and then the government you'd have to have a commitment, an approved commitment.
Yeah, I believe the government would receive the grant. I would just be the grant contact person, the keeper of the grant, and I would apply, but the money would go. I believe the money would go through the government.
Oh, okay.
The county has a grant writer.
Yes.
I've talked to him on the phone before, and he's very good. So that would be a great contact, Mallory.
Great. Absolutely. I don't have to be the keeper of the grant. I'm just offering.
Right. I think that's correct.
I know Doug writes several grants.
Right. But my question to those commissioners present, do you think the county commission would approve a $100,000 expenditure? I mean, I've written grants, and writing a grant is a huge undertaking, and it's really disappointing to invest a lot of time and effort and then have somebody pull the rug out from under you because they're not willing to ante up.
I think it would depend on how long-term. I mean, if you come in and just say, we've got this opportunity to buy this machine and recycle glass, they'd probably go for that. If you're saying, well, we're going to commit for the next 10 years to a facility, there's going to be a lot more questions about that.
Well,
and I mean, it's up to 200,000. We could ask for 50,000. We could ask for 25,000. It just depends. It's an opportunity to get something.
Let me just interject one thing here. I'm going to try to get some guidance on RFPs and purchasing and that sort of thing, so that when we come back next time, I'll have a little more guidelines for how we can have this discussion, because asking, do we think the commission would approve? I have no clue. I have no clue what they would.
Well-
It would depend. It would depend on what it was, how it was presented, what it was for, and that sort of. So there's a lot of factors that would go into it. That's what we're here for. We're here
Well,
to determine it. But I'll bring
exactly.
back some guidelines so that we're not sitting here doing this. The guidelines on grant applications and things, we need to look at those things too.
But I think if the county's going to be a partner in making that request, that they certainly need to get their grant writer involved in that first step, so that everybody's on the same page with that. But Mallory, great job, because if we could get a TDEC grant, that'd be great.
Yeah, I absolutely think so too. So,
Would it be appropriate for you to go talk to Spectra and see if they would be interested in some of this as it relates to a grant, and particularly about the glass that we just heard about?
I have made the effort to. I will continue to do so.
Okay, could you try to do that and maybe report back next month to us and see what they want and what they would like to see from the county?
Yeah, yes,
And what
yes.
that grant could potentially offer? Yeah. I mean, could you start that discussion? And
I am starting that discussion. It's just a very slow-going discussion at the moment.
Okay.
But yes, that is what I would hope to do.
Okay.
And what did it say for the timeline? Like, when does the grant have to be completed?
When is what?
When does the grant have to be completed if you do receive it? Like, what kind of time frame? Is it 1 year, 2
It
years?
asks for a timeline, I believe, 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, to report problems to them?
No, report progress.
Progress.
Do we have to do periodic progress reports and that sort of thing?
It only asks for a project sustainability report in the application.
In the
As a-
application,
yeah.
okay. Because, that's, who's going to be responsible for that? There's a lot of questions there about that.
That I have, like if we purchased equipment, and I know I may be getting the cart before the horse, but if the commission or whoever decided we're going to get out of it, are we stuck with equipment? I guess
That
that's
is-
something we can find out as we write the grant or the process of it.
That is one thing. If we do receive this grant, we cannot purchase, this is a reimbursement grant, so we would pay for it and then receive the money, so we could not purchase anything until we have the signed contract and get approved from TDEC. So that would not be until next spring.
Wasn't the deadline for the application October 1st?
Yes.
Yes, I did. I thought that was. So that's a very short timeline.
It is, yeah.
I will call you and give you the grant writer's information for the county.
Thank you very
So just so maybe you can talk with him and discuss how that's handled and the guidelines, because he'll know all of that information. That will help us. Don't you think, in general, just get in touch with him just to discuss those items?
Great. So I guess I have a question, if you don't mind. I guess the big thing here is there has to be a plan, and it seems like there's still uncertainty about. So should I? Because I am willing to work on this and start getting this going, but should I wait until? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, I will.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anything else? Any members, anything else? Our next meeting is August 25th, 5 o'clock, right here. Is there any public input on items not on the agenda? Oh,
Hi, excuse me, I wasn't planning on speaking. I'm Angeline Caldwell, and I'm an employee at Fairview Elementary, and we've been recycling for years there. We have 4 bins. We have plastic, cardboard, newspaper, and paper. The students participate. We have a program where they bring in plastic bottles and cans. They weigh it. Is it national? Yeah, it's so they record it, and we get a little tiny bit of money for it. But I just wanted you to be aware of that. And we get so much recycled material there at the school that it's piled up on the sides, and it blows around, and the custodians end up having to just pick it up and throw it in the trash. But so there is a need for it. But I just wanted you to know that Fairview is doing it. But I think we're one of the few schools that doesn't have a fence around the school. But the community does use it.
yes, I work at Fairview too. Yes. Waste Management does the other refuse from the schools, but and I don't know if all schools are doing recycling. I think most, and I was at Eagleton, mostly what they did at Eagleton, they didn't do any plastic. All they did was paper. I think it's pretty much left up to each individual school on what level of recycling they want to do.
It is, and the thing about the schools is that you have to have a person at that school who is interested in helping with the program.
Have to have a sponsor.
Because I had an AmeriCorps one year call all the schools, talk with the cafeteria person at the main office, trying to help do different things. And some schools it would be very successful at, and other schools it wouldn't. But most schools recycle paper. And Spectra has provided those bins for free for a long time. And that I remember that I didn't know that you still had plastic, but I know they had plastic for a long time, and that works over there for them. But at other schools, it just depends on having the point person in charge of that to really help.
You can get somebody that's motivated at the school.
Yes, because you probably have a green team club, and you do it, and you always do it, right? The students don't do it? Okay. And certain schools have certain clubs that do it, and certain schools don't, because we went around with the county when Dana West was here, when you received the Green Grant, and we went around to every single elementary school, and I went with the Stormwater Department and me and Dana, and we gave bins, and we spoke, I can't remember, I think it was second grade. We spoke to every second grade. We talked about recycling. We gave them bins. We educated. And Keep Blount Beautiful does that every day, anytime. That's probably why our recycling rate is good, because we've been educating kids for so long in Blount County about recycling. But some schools were really receptive to that, and I mean, it just depends on, yes, so.
And Fairview was is one of the
Fairview's always
smaller
been the
schools.
best.
Fairview is one of the smaller schools.
Yeah.
So you all need to go talk to the other schools.
Is it all? Okay. At the next meeting, I will bring some guidelines back for, and I'll try to put that in a hard copy and give that to Ms. Rhonda, and she can put it in our packet so that we can see some of the guidelines, so that we don't get in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble talking about things we probably should not be talking about. Anything else? Yes, I will get her contact information. I will converse with her before the next meeting. And anything else? Okay, we're adjourned.